What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I come to you with spectacular guests as always. We have the Dungeon Strength RX crew, Ryan Terry, the owner and strongman himself. We have middleweight pro strongwoman Rachael Bennett, and we have the current under 73 kilo world's strongest woman coming to us once again, Erin Murray. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hello. Excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you all. So first, I think where we should start is, Ryan, why don't you talk to us about what Dungeon Strength RX is, kind of how it came into being and that whole story?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. We're just going to jump right in. I love it. So there's actually a long history of, the group that's not only on this call, but also in this area in Washington. I originally moved to the area from Arkansas to work at Amazon about 5 years ago. And that's when I was really getting into the strongman scene and was really wanting to pursue it. I was that guy that was at a CrossFit gym doing CrossFit because I love doing it, but then also bought my own log, my own stone. I kind of had it in the corner. My coach at the time was like, hey, there's this group that are much better than you that train down at Cape CrossFit, which is about 20 minutes south of Seattle. And that's where I ended up meeting Erin and Rachael for the first time, honestly. I saw them competing in shows around the area, and then we started training in this little corner of Kent CrossFit. And in the beginning of 2020 is when Dungeon Strength was born. It really started as just a group of 20 of us that we all trained with each other to compete in shows regionally and locally. And honestly, it's been incredible. I will start getting emotional. If I had my partner Saul on the horn, he would be getting emotional right now for sure. But it really has been phenomenal seeing us grow from where we are today, especially through the times the world's been through the past couple of years. So.
Yeah, awesome. So Amazon, huh? So you're the guy sending me all those diapers every month?
So I was the guy that was targeting ads to you to make sure you were purchasing the right things.
Got it.
The right diapers for, the right sizes and everything like that. So,
man, I
spent advertising for a long
so
time.
you've done a good job.
Yeah.
That's
sold
really
advertising by name,
job,
lifted rocks by night. What was that?
That's really the most important job is the targeted ads. Let's be honest here.
I know, that's what makes the world turn, right?
Hey, man, I got to talk to you to get my targeted ads to people. I got to bring in some more revenue. We'll talk offline.
Anytime, man.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Rachael, why don't we go with you? How did you start into Strong Women? You are a pro at this juncture, right? So how did you get started, and what's been the journey to becoming a pro?
So I've actually been doing strongman for about 12 years now. I started in college. I absolutely was one of those people that gained like the freshman 30-ish. And so I was working out as a way to lose some weight. And one of the girls in the weight room where I went to college, she was working there and she goes, hey, do you want to try bodybuilding? That's what I'm doing. And I said, absolutely not. Because midnight cafeteria was open. I was trying to cook. There was free pizza. So no, absolutely. And then I actually started in powerlifting for a little bit, but we had a group of people who would come to our college. Nate Bowling, who's a pro strongman currently, Pat Castelli, who won the Arnold for lightweight men. They would come to our college up in Bellingham, Washington, and practice strongman on Saturdays. And so I joined, and I have been competing for almost 12 years now. I got my pro card in 2020 when we had nationals in Alabama. And Erin and I have been competing against each other for, 6 years now? Are we at 6?
It's been, yeah.
And Erin and I have been competing against each other for about 6 years. And I would like to say I have beaten her twice. The first 2 times we competed against each other. And then ever since then, she has been above and beyond an amazing athlete to watch and see grow over the past 6 years. So I've been in this sport for a really long time. And I have to say the first time that I qualified for nationals, there were 30 girls total who went across all 3 weight classes and masters and all of those things. And to see where it's at today, especially on the female side of things, is phenomenal. So it's been one of those journeys that's been really, really rewarding. And watching people come into our gym and the culture that Ryan and Saul and all of our coaches, Erin included, have created to get people in the gym and doing strongman as just something fun has been amazing to see. Because like Ryan said, we were kind of in a little corner in our last gym, and people would come over and talk to us occasionally. But the culture that we've created at our gym is so amazing and warm and welcome. And it's been fantastic to see it grow over the past 2 years.
So would you say, Rachel, that somebody has to have a predisposition to being strong, or they can succeed through hard work in strongman?
I would definitely say they can succeed through hard work. I would not have considered myself an athlete. Growing up, I played soccer for the fall, like every kid did in elementary school. I did track in high school. And then when I went to college, I realized I was not going to be a D1 athlete. And I just was like, all right, I'll work out as kind of a thing to do. And there was some natural predisposition for me to be a strength athlete, but nothing that I would have seen prior. We have girls who come in and they've never touched a weight before. And some of them are competing in their first show at the Rainier this year. And so I think just some will and determination is what a lot of these people come with. And I think that's awesome. They want to prove something just for themselves. And that's amazing. And I think, again, that's what we do at Dungeon Strength is if you've come in and never touched a stone before or a log, we're going to help you out. And to me, if you have a predisposition for strength athletics, that's awesome. But you also just want to try it out and have some fun. And that's even better.
Sweet. And saving perhaps the best for last. For those of you that don't recognize Erin, it's because she's got a snazzy new hairstyle. What's up, Erin?
Hey, how you doing?
So we all know you for going into OSG last year and just winning the whole damn thing. What have you been up to since then?
Oh, it's just kind of been off season for me. Really, the only big goal this year is OSG again. You know, I've got a couple shows planned potentially between now and then, but you know, the big goal is OSG again. So we've just been kind of in a off season, really just trying to get bigger. I'm still quite a bit below where I want to be, like just body weight wise. You know, the big cut last year kind of took a toll, and my weight plummeted for a little bit. So we're kind of in this like hypertrophy, just kind of trying to get big. So that's what I've been up to.
All right, so
eating a lot, training a lot.
So you're not going to compete under 73 again?
No, we're going to 82 this year.
Cool.
Yep.
Do it in 2 different weight classes. Awesome. Like
yeah.
Sam Beliveau did something similar. Actually, I talked to her recently and I told her it'd be cool to see her compete against you.
Yeah, which I think she is, as far as I know. I think she's doing the 82 class. I don't know for sure, but that was always kind of the 2-year goal with cutting down last year, was to then build back up this year, because no one's ever won world titles in 2 weight classes before. So kind of shooting to be the first is the goal. So
that'll be sweet. Who do you consider your biggest rival at OSG if you get the same crop of athletes as last year?
Oh, same as last year. I mean, Nadia, who won, is phenomenal. She's a tank, super strong. I mean, she definitely has the strength advantage on me for sure. I don't know exactly who else is for sure going to be this year. I've heard rumor that Donna might be cutting down to 82, so she would be really fun to compete against. I don't know for sure, but I've heard Melissa Peacock might be coming to OSG this year. That's her weight class, so I'd be going against her. I've heard that Sam might be coming, so like all phenomenal athletes that are going to be really hard to beat.
That'll be awesome to watch. Any particular event from last year you're hoping comes back? Maybe the car walk?
I mean, any sort of yoke event I'm always excited about because I love yoke, and like the death medley, even though it sucks to do, like those kind of events are my strong suit. And I think that they would be good for me against women who are objectively just stronger than me. I think where I excel is in those like moving events and the like conditioning and medley kind of type events. So I'm hoping for more of that kind of stuff as opposed to static events, but we'll see.
Yeah. And talking about hypertrophy, in your Instagram post, you're like always focused on your legs not being big enough. What's that all about?
They just don't like to grow. Like, I mean, I don't, I'm obviously not scrawny, but I'm just looking at other girls in my class. They're just like, they just look like tanks. And I know that I'm not like small, but I'm small comparatively, and my legs just don't like to grow. So we're working on it.
Nice. Well, it doesn't hold you back on moving events. That's for sure. Awesome. So Ryan, let's get back into talking about, I know you wanted to bring up sort of the evolution of OSG and what's happening with regionals this year. I think you know a lot more than I do about it. You want to kind of educate me and the fans about what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to talk about it. So I'm happy to announce that I'm coordinating with Lynn Morehouse, Derek Owens, Alex Pagan. Lynn shares the same vision that we do at Dungeon, which one of the main reasons that we even existed is we wanted to bring real opportunity to athletes in the area. A good friend of ours, Josh Hatfield, who was here, and he just moved over to Kentucky. Him, Erin, Rachael. I can just go on about all the athletes that came from the Pacific Northwest, and if they wanted to get any type of attention, it was, hey, go to Florida, go to wherever we went for nationals after Florida. Where was it, Rachael?
Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
Iowa.
Right. And so, it was really a big goal of mine going into, last in 2020 to say, okay, where do we bring real opportunity to the area? And that's where the Rainier Classic was really born from. And our really good friend, and that's a story that I always love telling, but, of course, Rob Kearney was up here training out of our gym for a little over 7 months. And just him and Joey made such an impact on our community. It's unreal. We love them. We really do. We stay in touch still to this day. But how that brings us into OSG is, Lynn really wanted to expand outside of, okay, how do we get out of just online qualifiers and bring more opportunity to athletes that really are looking to excel in this sport, but they can't, not everybody that competes can afford, $1,000 flight and then, hundreds of dollars in hotel, along with, if they're really taking it serious, they got to bring their meals with them. And it's a huge expense. And the main criticism for a lot of athletes is, and amazing athletes, let me just put it that way, is we just can't get there. And so, Alec is really the one that I've got to give most of the credit to. He came out to our show at the Rainier, and he told me right when he got there, he's like, hey, I'm really excited for this show, and I really want to see how you guys run a show and how professional you are, because we're looking to hopefully, do something with OSG. I was like, okay, great. And obviously Rainier, we blew it out of the water, especially for our first time doing a show, and kind of went from there. And so what the regional system is intended for is to offer 3 separate shows throughout the country. Derek Owens at Battle Axe Barbell is hosting his at the Branch Warren Expo at NRG Stadium in Houston. We'll be doing it out of the Tacoma Convention Center up here in Tacoma, Washington. And then Lynn and the team, we're still coordinating on what that Mid-Atlantic regional is going to look like. But there are now, along with the online qualifier, 3 opportunities that are spread around the country for more athletes to get qualified for OSG Worlds. And on top of that, the regional system also offers the top 3 podium from each weight class, their entry fees paid for Worlds, and then also first place also gets a travel stipend as well. So really, the intention is really, we want the best of the best in the entire world to be able to go to the official Strongman Games, because we're all big fans of it. We want to see that. But the real mission was, how do we bring as much opportunity to the doorstep for those athletes as possible. So that's really what it was born from.
Sweet. Great story for sure. Alec, by the way, wanted to chime in.
All right, I'm calling you Alex from now on, I guess. Fine. Done.
For what it's worth, you've spelled my name wrong every single email, Ryan, so.
For what it's worth, I have not. I looked at your IG and I got it right.
Tell that to the other guy in the box.
You know what? This is what I get. I give Alec a shout out, and then he calls me out online. So that's cool. All right, we'll talk later, Alec. No big deal.
Is that Alec? Was that your coach, Erin? Okay.
Yeah.
What's up, Alec? Cool. No, good story. So then, how do you think that'll change the number of athletes attending OSG? Will it be a larger collection of athletes this year?
That's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea, is to field a greater pool. I mean, really, the online qualifiers only let the top 10 in, and there were great athletes that were left out last year that, honestly, if they were given a few more months to train, I think they would have given, a lot of athletes that did well in the show run for their money. And so really, this system will, please don't hold me to this, but, theoretically, it should bring 3 to 4x more opportunity to athletes, not only for spots to go to the show, right? But they also don't have to depend just on, an online qualifier. And honestly, for those of us that are promoters, like, so for me, for Derek, for Lynn, there is something, different about competing in person and the vibe that comes and the energy and everything like that. And, that's one thing in strongman that you never want to lose. I mean, it's a spectator sport. There's nothing like it, right? If you've never had a chance to compete, even as a novice, I just do it once. Do it once, even if it's a novice show, because you'll never know until you don't know, right? And when it comes to something like OSG, and when the fans want to see the best of the best, they want to see it in person as well, and that talks about the community as well. So that's really the other part of this is opportunity plus the fans want it, honestly, locally.
Yeah, it was tough to tell from the stream, but last year, what was the fan situation? Was there a crowd there? And would we like to see more fans? Kind of how is that all situated?
I'll let Erin talk to that because she was there in person.
Yeah, I think we had a pretty good number of people come. Like, that's something that I think I personally would like to push for more. I think a lot of energy goes towards advertising the events to the competitors, and I wish that it kind of went both ways and also like advertised toward spectators. And, I think part of growing the sport isn't just growing it within the sport and like within the people that are going to be competing and doing the shows, but really growing the sport to a point where it's profitable, relies on the spectators and the people that are watching, and like the people that want to tune into the live stream and come and pay tickets to actually watch the event. And that's something that I'm personally hoping for with like a bigger venue and kind of more exposure, that we get more people that are wanting to be involved by watching, not necessarily people that want to be part of the sport, but most people that watch football on TV don't play football themselves, and that's why it's so big. And I think that something that a lot of promoters could work on, is something that I'm hoping to come from this show with our larger venue, is that we kind of promote more towards the people that want to watch as well.
That's a good point, because folks that go watch strongman are usually involved in some way. They're not, pure spectators.
Yeah. And so I think there's a huge opportunity to get people involved, just people that want to watch, people that aren't watching because they're personally invested because they're competitors, but people that just think it's fun to watch. And I think that's kind of an untapped market a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think there's, if I may, I'm going to jump on top of that. So it fails, it's without fail. Whenever Rachael, Erin, myself, we go into Home Depot, we go shop for groceries, there's a problem in and of itself when we're asked constantly, like, what do you bench? What do you deadlift? Like, you're a large human being. Like, do you play football? I'm like, no, I do strongman. And the look on people's faces when they're like, what? I mean, that's it. That's what we're talking about, right? Like, our sport, as we continue to grow, is we want people to be able to automatically know, oh, wow, like, you actually go and you lift those logs, you lift those stones, right? Like, and of course, like, we're not even close to what the NFL is, like, to what Erin's point is as far as like mainstream is concerned. But I'm really looking forward to the day, and I think it'll happen in the next 2 or 3 years, honestly, where we'll walk into a Walmart, people know that we train, they'll see a strongman shirt, and they'll go, I cannot wait for this year's Rainier Classic, or I cannot wait for the official Strongman Games, because I love watching it. It's like, Super Bowl, World Series, hopefully, World Championships, right? And of course, Giants Live and everything like that, they're getting there. But I'm excited for the future. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is true, though. There just isn't that level of recognition. So I very recently, like, I like to go hiking and lift stones and stuff in the woods. So I grabbed a log that was already cut, and I want to make a pressing log out of it, right? So I was talking to one of my strongman friends, and I said, it's not a perfectly balanced log like Slater would make, but it's my log, and I'm going to make it work. And he said, well, it's better than any log I have. And I said, well, here's the trick. You go ask the authorities at the city park or whatnot, the nature center. You say, I'd like to take one of your logs that you've already cut to make a strongman pressing log out of it. And when they say to you, what the hell is strongman? You say, oh, never mind, have a nice day, and then just take it when they're not looking.
We have kegs via Grant Higa, who's one of the most OG strongmen we have in the Pacific Northwest. He's amazing. We have kegs that are from Red Hook Brewery that are definitely 25 years old and haven't been opened since they got filled with sand and water. And Grant has told us stories about how he would like go in and be like, hey, do you have empty kegs? And they're like, yeah, are you hosting a party? He goes, no, I'm going to fill them with sand. And they're just given that look, And so I think, as Ryan says, it becomes a little bit more mainstream, and we can go into a brewery and be like, hey, can I have some empty kegs? And they're like, for what? And we're like, we're filling them with sand for strongman. And they'll be like, all right, cool. make sure our logo's on there, you know, like Ryan said, I think hopefully in the next couple of years when we need that equipment and those partnerships start to emerge in a more viable way for those people. Red Hook had no clue, right? But we've had those kegs for 25 years and they've held up and the logo's still on there. So people recognize it and it's pretty awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, Grant's a legend even all the way over here in the Northeast, so we all know him. If memory serves, he was staff at last year's Rainier, wasn't he?
He's he's the Strongman Corp. I'm sorry, Rachel. He's the Strongman Corp state chair for the state of Washington. So
Okay.
he's going to be the state chair for the Rainier Classic this year. And he's going to be the head judge at MC. So you'll see him again on the live broadcast.
Sweet.
And he's one of the best undercover videographers we have. Grant doesn't miss anybody on camera.
So he's going to be doing MC in terms of like play-by-play stuff as well?
Correct. Yeah. So he's so Rob Kearney did this for us last year and did a phenomenal job, and we're going to replicate it with Grant. Rob has got graduation this year out in Boston, so unfortunately he wasn't able to join us for this year. But yeah, so Grant is going to be doing the play-by-play. We're coordinating right now. We're going to have the show professionally live stream. We're also going to have a broadcast as well for the show. We're going to have that set up where there's going to be a play-by-play with we're going to have a couple of folks posted just to kind of talk the audience through what's happening, the history of whatever movement that we're doing. For example, we're going to be doing head-to-head truck pull, head-to-head car deadlift, and we're going to have folks there that are knowledgeable in the sport where they can talk about what's that history look like. And by the way, shameless plug, if you're interested, we'll fly you out here if you want to be a part of that broadcasting. I'm just saying, you do a great job, and you obviously know a lot about the history of the sport. So just know that's on the table. If you want to send me an email afterwards,
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'll definitely mull it over. That'd be a great trip. I've never been out to Washington. So.
Oh, well then you'd be coming during the best time. Everybody thinks that it just rains and drizzles all the time up here, and they're right for half of the year. But honestly, during June, July, you'll never see a more beautiful summer. Rainier's in the background. I mean, it really is a great place to visit.
Awesome. Well, the thing is, Isaac is out there in Washington State, and he's 6'5", so he lets me know when it's raining before I know.
Where's Isaac?
I don't know the cities well enough. Sorry.
I didn't know
he
he was
said
out here.
Spokane last time, I think.
What's that?
He said Spokane.
Spokane.
He was on Eastern Washington. Yeah.
Okay. How far is that from you guys?
5 hours.
5 hours. Okay. I'm in the tiny state of New Jersey, so nothing's 5 hours away.
My parents are from New Jersey. I've been there a lot. Yes.
Oh, whereabouts? Do you remember what town?
Matawan.
Okay. Yeah. So even though it's a tiny state, we have North, Central, and South Jersey. That's
Exactly.
central.
Yeah.
That's central. Nice. Yeah, my wife's from not too far from that area as well. So awesome. Cool. Yeah, we have a big strongman presence here in Jersey, if you're not aware. Like Tyler Cotton's not far from here, and Johnny Waz, and a lot of great strongman athletes around here.
Was Melissa Palmero, I hope I'm saying her last name right, was that from there, wasn't she?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring up Tyler. I'm a huge fan. If Tyler's listening to this, he was so last year we had a really heavy sandbag for the Pro-Am Open. We had a 400-pound, sandbag.
Wow.
And we got a lot of flack for having that at the show. And I would always bring up Tyler Cotton. Like, Tyler can do it. He just tosses it up on his shoulder and puts it over something. It's like, well, Tyler's a freak. And so, but thanks, Tyler, for proving that, like, hey, setting the standard for something like that. So, huge fan.
You know what I think would make a good video? I got to get Tyler over here and take him into the woods with me and lift some stones.
That would be a good video.
Yeah.
I put Tyler, I've got to put him like top 10 in the world for being able to pick something up and shoulder it or anything like that. I mean, he's got a phenomenal. His erectors must be made out of something like, indestructible or something. It's like,
Adamantium, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go marble with it. Absolutely.
There goes the teacher. Nice.
I have to keep up with the 10-year-old somehow.
Awesome. So Rachel, I was wondering also, when you first got into strongman, what was the event that first got your attention where you said, I really got to do that?
For me, it was always deadlift. And that was transferring over from the powerlifting side of things. I could do a solid deadlift and I could do really solid deadlift for reps. And it transferred over into farmers because I never used straps for deadlift because of powerlifting, so I never trained it. And so my farmers is the thing that keeps me in most competitions. When Erin's running away with it, I still got farmers sometimes. I think the thing that has struck me the most, especially since I've started, is the press capabilities of some of these girls, Erin included. When I started lifting, I remember my first show for an axle for middleweight women was 145 pounds for reps. And now it's 200 pounds minimum. And it's just been phenomenal to watch all these girls come in and be just the most amazing athletes all around and pressing what I thought would never actually happen. And that was going to be like our Arnold level pressing was 200 pounds. And now that's going to be like a local show sometimes. And that's going to be nationals. And so I think the event that I wish I had like paid more attention to was my press.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't middleweight, but this isn't middleweight, but the whole pressing, raising the bar, that's all Inez's fault.
Inez is phenomenal at pressing. It's just astounding how good she is.
Yeah.
I got to watch her. So I went to the Arnold. We had our general manager at Dungeon, Lucas Hatton. He did well at nationals. He went to go compete, and watching her on the press, I was so happy but so pissed off all at the same time, because you're looking at the crowd, right, watching the stage, and half of the crowd they're either strongmen or women, they're fans of the sport, they know what's happening in front of them, right? And including myself, we're just like, what is happening? Because she just went boom, 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 just kept going and going. And then the other half is there at the Arnold for bodybuilding. And they're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, this is great. And I'm wanting to just like shake people and just be like, are you not seeing what's happening on stage right now? Like, she is destroying like anything that was ever thought possible from an overhead press event. And in my head, I was getting really upset because she put on such a great show. And the thing is, she didn't even have to really either. I mean, she had it won basically by that point. I mean, she had to kill it at that event to just seal the deal. But like, she didn't need that many, but she just did it for the fans, which was great. So a big fan of Inez. I mean, she really does. She gives it everything, and the fans definitely appreciate it. So,
absolutely, I'm glad to see she's getting some notoriety across the big pond now. Because I remember the first time Big Laz mentioned her, I'm like, we all know who Inez is here already. Yeah, but it's interesting. You make a great point. People who haven't tried these things don't understand how hard they are. So, as I said, like I like going into the woods and lifting stones, and I finally was able to get I got a 210-pound stone to chest. And I think like Martine's just shouldered a stone almost twice this weight. Granted, he's a lot bigger than me, but still, it's insane. Like, people don't understand who haven't tried these things, how insane they are, these accomplishments.
One of the largest misconceptions from somebody that's new to the sport coming into a gym is deadlift a stone. Everybody thinks that if they're at the LA Fitness and they can deadlift 400 pounds, they can pick up a 400-pound stone. Happens all the time. And they'll come into the gym and they'll be like, oh, I want to try stones. I've always seen those. And then they struggle with the 200 and they're a 300-pound person. And it's always very humbling for a lot of folks that try to. And it's right. You just don't know until you don't know. And you realize there's such thing as crushing strength and, everything like that. And then you see Erin Murray, walk up and take that 200-pound stone that you supposedly thought was going to be easy and just rep it out like crazy, right? And so it's a really fun thing to watch. I can't say enough, and I will, like, the Rainier Classic happened, and it was as good as it was because of the women that came and put on a hell of a show. I mean, watching the Terminator, which I call Victoria now. I hope you're okay with that, Victoria. Like, I came up with that nickname the first time I saw her compete. Watching her and Inez go back and forth, and then Gabby and Monica and Nadia and Rachel, bless her heart, was there and just like putting up a fight, and like it was awesome. It was so awesome. So I was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to put on that show was to give one of the largest purses to specifically the female side of the sport, because really, as far as we're talking about the advances in strength sports in general in the sport, and I mean this is just fact. The women are leading the way in the trajectory of strength in this sport, and it's incredible to watch. And I think Erin being at OSG this year's proven that on a larger scale. So, anyways, that's my thought on that specifically. So
yeah, I mean, the women in the sport just overall have like grown exponentially. Like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of impressive guys and it's like really cool to see, but just like the difference between like the weights that women were lifting 5 years ago versus now is just ridiculous. Like people are just like coming out of nowhere. It's getting hard to keep up, which is really cool.
And I think the other aspect of it too is that we have such a diverse backgrounds of these girls coming in, and the guys too. We don't just have people who did powerlifting for a little bit and then go into strongman. We have CrossFitters, we have Olympic weightlifters, we have just overall amazing athletes. And so it used to be that you could just be kind of statically strong and you'd be fine. And now it's you have to be an all around amazing athlete. And like Erin said, like the caliber of the girls in the last couple of years has just been amazing to watch. And I have to toot Ryan's horn for just a second because he's not going to do that. Ryan paid for the athlete purse out of his own pocket, and that he wanted to do that from the beginning. And it was one of the most heartwarming things for me as an athlete to hear a promoter say, I'm doing this because I want to, because I think you all deserve it. And especially for coming from the women's side, like I said, when I first started, there were 30 girls at nationals total. And we had, I'm not sure, we had almost 100 athletes on the amateur side of things last year for the Rainier. And I think it was about 50-50 girls and boys. And it was just something that really warmed my heart, that not only did Ryan want to promote a show for amateurs and pros alike, but he wanted to make sure that the pro men and the pro women were shown how much like he truly cared about them. And so coming from somebody who's been doing this a long time, it was really, really, really awesome to see. And so I'm going to toot your horn for a second, Ryan. And so him paying out of pocket and being like, I'm going to sponsor the cash prizes for the pros was just awesome.
Absolutely. Kudos to you, Ryan. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
You're going to make me emotional again? No.
Dude, thank her, man. Thank her.
No, no, but Rachel's 100% right. That's the whole reason, Dungeon's been there in the first place. I go back to what I said before. One of the main values is bringing real opportunity. And I knew pretty early on in my strongman career, I got into it too late as an athlete. And I love it. I still compete to this day. I don't know if I'll ever try to go for, the national side of things or anything like that. Again, we'll see. I just keep seeming to get injured. But what I can bring is, I've been an entrepreneur for, a little under a decade now, and I wanted to bring those skills. And I was like, I may not be able to bring my body, into it, the way that most do, but I can bring, that set of skills into play to bring real opportunity. So thank you, Rachel. It means a lot to me. And obviously I'm hoping that, we can continue to grow, our competitions up here for the future athletes to come. So.
Yeah, you made a great point about the female athletes, though. I got to say, and I mean no disrespect by this, I remember the females. I don't remember the guy who won. So, yeah. I remember
Brett
Victoria,
Thompson.
Inez, Nadia.
Yeah, and Brett Thompson, if he was here, I'm paying for him to come back up here and paying his hotel because he won last year. I want the winners to be able to come back, and Brett would, if he was here right now, he would say he doesn't blame you. Because that's how good it was. So
awesome. Was last year the first Rainier, or what's kind of the lineage and the history of the Rainier Classic?
Yeah, last year was the first year. So really, end of 2022, I really wanted to do a bigger show, and a shout out to our sister gym, Ryan Tergano, and over at Dungeon Fitness in Bremerton, Washington. For those that don't know, Washington, there's a big body of water in between, the side of land where Seattle, Tacoma is, and then on the other side is Bainbridge Island and, a few other places that it's Gig Harbor. It's kind of a harder drive to get around to the mainland, if you will. And he has Dungeon Fitness out there. He's had it out there for years. And Ryan has put on some great shows. I mean, he does the Northwest Viking every summer. He does a show, towards the end of the year. And really, he's the one that kind of, started it. And I was just building on top of that to say, okay, well, what's the next step for Dungeon Strength? And really, I got to give a shout back to Rob. Because when Rob came to the gym, it's actually a crazy story. So Saul, and help me out, guys. Erin, Rachel, I know you know a little bit of the story, so help me fill in the gaps where I may be wrong here. But so we got wind that Rob announced on social media that like, hey, I'm moving to the Pacific Northwest. And so all of us, we're huge fans. We're just like, where in the Pacific Northwest? And it finally found out that it was in Renton, Washington, which Renton, Washington is right down the road from us. And so us as fans were freaking out a little bit, including myself. I'm just like, Rob Kearney is going to come and be really close. And so somebody on our behalf, I think it was Abdullah or somebody, I can't remember, from our gym, contacted Rob and said, hey, there's actually a great, strongman gym in Washington, Dungeon Strength. And this is when we hadn't expanded our gym yet. We expanded into the unit next to us as we were growing. We were just in this little, unit, a little 2,000 square foot space. And Rob responded back pretty close to immediately and said, oh yeah, Grant Higa told me about the gym. I'll be down there to train. And then, and we're all like, what's happening right now? And so he came in and loved, the group and the community. And, when he got plugged in, I was talking to him and I was just like, I really do want to put on a bigger show, and just didn't even hesitate. I mean, Rob is the most down to earth dude in the world. Like, I mean, if you ever get a chance to meet him, and of course, I don't know if you have in person, but he's just a regular guy, right? But, he definitely has put on a pedestal as he should, because he's done some great things. But, he's like, I'll help you. I'll sponsor it. I'll be the MC. He just started volunteering himself. And we didn't have to ask him. I mean, he just wanted that for the group and the community. And really that's, I got to give a lot of credit to him, because he helped me, get a lot of the connections to talk to different promoters, talk to a lot of brands, really start getting my feet wet on building those relationships and like, what are the real steps and what does it really take to put on a great show? Mm-hmm. And that's where the Rainier Classic was born. It was the first Pro-Am in the Pacific Northwest. And we did it right in our back parking lot at Dungeon. It was great. Our volunteers, we couldn't have done it without our volunteers and our community there that came together. They're going to come together again this year for this show, and we're going to make it even more special. But really, that was our inaugural year. It was Rainier, and there was a lot of skeptics, if I'm being honest with you, going into the show. Like, these guys can't. These guys are going to try in one day to do the amateur show and the pro show. I mean, we had a lot of criticism going into that, because strongman shows had the reputation of starting at 7 a.m. and ending at 8 p.m. Right? It took forever. Nobody enjoyed watching it, and I'm happy to say we got through. We had about 80 plus amateurs sign up. It was a big show. We were done with the amateurs by what, Rachel? Like, Erin, like 11 a.m. or something like that?
We got through them in 4 hours. We did
4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours. And we got done with the pro show in about 3.5. We were done. The award ceremony was done in 4 hours. And the pros, that was their biggest compliment to us as we were getting feedback from them, was like, we didn't think you could do it, but you did it. It was very fast. We didn't have to, if you're a pro, one of the biggest frustrations is you get cold in between events. Yeah. And we even had a couple of them say it might have gone too fast because we didn't really have a chance to breathe. Rachel's pointing to herself. And so, yeah, we definitely thought with the Rainier, we're going to shoot high. And if we're going to shoot high, then we're all in, right? And so we, as a group, as a community, we put everything we had into it. And it's honestly the real reason that we're able to do it again this year is because of the momentum that came from that first year show.
It's great to hear how well run it is, because I think that happens. The timing thing happens at all levels of the sport. I had JF Caron on recently, and even he said, like, I've competed cold more times than you know.
I think it really speaks to, like, the.
Oh, go ahead, Erin. I'm sorry.
I think that really just speaks volumes to the community that we have here. I mean, just how much planning went into it. I remember we started meeting in January. We started having those meetings like all year, and that was awesome. But just like speaks to the community that we have of volunteers and people that just wanted to help make it a reality. I think part of what made it so successful is, everyone that wanted to volunteer had to come, and we did a dry run like 2 weeks before. And we ran through the whole show, and everyone knew exactly what they were doing because we had done it all before. And that's a huge time commitment to ask people to come that aren't getting paid, that are just volunteering their time because they want to see it do well. And I think that really speaks to the people that we have at our gym that just love this and love what we do and want to see it be successful. And I think that it's just really cool, a really special thing that we have here.
That's really smart, though. It's an extra step that really leads to a successful outcome.
Well, and one of the cool things that I've seen this year, especially looking at the athlete roster, is that some people who volunteered last year want to compete this year. And I think just showing them how a strongman competition works and how well it can be run and how fun it can be. And I think that's the intimidating part for people, especially people who come into a competition aren't the most competitive. They want to do it for fun. They want to set some personal best, but they aren't like gung-ho and competitive and all those things. Seeing how much fun everybody had and how well run it was and how smooth it was, they're like, I want to do that next year. And I can say, looking at the roster right now, there's at least 5 volunteers from last year who are competing this year, which is amazing and phenomenal. And it gave them that boost of confidence to do it, which is awesome. And we have volunteers coming back this year who did it last year. One of the women who volunteered last year, she's going to be almost 9 months pregnant at the time of our show, and she's still going to volunteer. She was so into it last year. She wants to volunteer again this year. And like, that is amazing. And we have people coming back, like Grant's coming back to judge. We have Zach McCarley coming back to judge. We have all these people who want to participate again because they had such a good time and they were treated so well. And like Ryan and Erin said, when you treat the people who are helping you well, it's going to make everybody feel like a huge part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. Is it going to be streamed?
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to do a professional live stream. We're still working with Strongman Corp on who, we're probably going to outsource for that. Once again, another great part about our community is we're blessed with a couple of videographers. Shout out to Noah Bond and Austin Flynn, who upper left lens, and then Noah goes by DJ 007 because his name's Noah Bond. Anyways, love you, Noah. But they've actually been doing a lot of the content for the show, the show coming up, and they're looking forward to the opportunity to kind of grow their skills because they want to grow their own companies and their promotion skills moving forward. So we're one way or another, it's going to be professionally live streamed. And I'm even, for example, I'm even talking with a local construction rental company here. I get teased a little bit because I brought it up in our last planning meeting, but we're actually going to probably bring out some scissor lifts to make sure that we've got cameras in great spots for the arena. And Rachel's already giggling, but it's going to be great. And also, I know this is crazy, but I need your opinion on this. I really do. So when you're thinking about a strongman show, when do you think about the snapshots of the podium finishers? Does your mind never goes to what are those shots looking like? Well, picture this. All right. Picture first, second in place being lifted up on scissor lifts. Third place stops, second place stops, first place is in the middle, like 15 feet in the air, 10 feet in the air, 5 feet in the air. It's going to be awesome. I think people will want to tune in.
That would be the greatest strongman. I would think that would be incredible. I mean, I'm a WWE fan from childhood. I think that's like that kind of showmanship that I think would bring people in who aren't watching yet.
Yeah. Well, now that I've actually said it publicly, I'm going to have to follow through. I don't have a choice now that I brought it up. But if that's just a very minor thing of what's going to make it great, we're hoping to. Austin.
What up, Austin?
I brought it up so many different times. So Austin, of course, makes but for example, the truck pulls, we're actually going to be using show trucks. So I don't know if you've ever been to a truck show where, there's like lifted and they're all decked out and stuff like that. And, it's going to be a show that's not only going to be great fun to be a part of, but from a spectacle perspective, we're going to try to make it as fun as possible for you to watch and enjoy. And, we're going to try to, our expectations are through the roof. So. Thanks, Q. I appreciate that. No, that's Q. That's Cassandra from Dungeon. She's always got my back in regards to crazy ideas like that. So yep.
Nice.
And shout out to Q, one of my clients who is new to Strongman, but doing the pro show this year. So cool to see some newer faces in the pro side of things. That
absolutely.
A little shout out to the amazing members that we've got.
Yeah, definitely shoot me over her IG. I'll promote her. I'll share some content. Awesome. Scissor lifts, man. I don't know how to follow that up. I have this stuck in my head now. That's cool.
Well, the best part about it is we're going to make those just large ass chains like we did last year with the metal. So just picture like Mr. T style chains on top of the scissor lift. And then I don't think we need to do anything else.
I pity the fool that don't like scissor lifts.
Ryan, if that's not your slogan for the rest of the planning, I'm just going to not help anymore.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Just know that was my block strongest man. That was him. That was but no, I really, as much as I'm excited about the Rainier and about OSG coming up, I'm mostly excited, and what I was so pumped that Rachael and Erin could join me on this because as a friend and as someone that's been able to own the gym that they work out at, and I get to see on a daily basis what nobody else gets to, and that's the grind and the hard work. And I mean, nobody, and my partner said it best whenever he did a post on our gym page for Erin when she won, was he did like, it was honestly, I think us as friends and as a community, and if Erin didn't cry, I'd be really surprised. But Saul basically said it best, that like no one understands the type of prep, especially when you're cutting like that, to be able to go and perform at that high of a level. And I was mostly excited to be able to have Rachael and Erin on, because I see them both as leaders in our community, and watching them teach men and women to be able to excel and to better themselves and to be great examples, as Erin has grown as a coach, and Rachael as a teacher. That's also, we call her gym mom, because she steps up and helps on everything at the gym. So I was really excited that they could join me, because I really, and I'm not trying to toot their horns because they know I do it all the time anyways, but really, I can't wait for Erin to compete this year. I can't wait to see Rachael continue to grow in her shows. And so I'm really excited that we can highlight them, and I'm really excited to hear more, because I don't get to talk to them every day. I'm excited to hear like kind of what their plans are for the next few years. So, and I'm sure the fans would love that too. It's up to you. It's up to you on the direction you want to take it.
It's a great segue. Erin, would you like to take that first?
Oh, just what I got coming up. I mean, like I said, OSG is the big one. I'm going to be trying to qualify for the Shaw Classic too. I think it's so cool that he's bringing like a whole like women's side of the show this year. I know Rachel's doing the qualifier too. We're going to be doing that over the next couple of weeks. So super cool opportunity there. So I'll do that show. I mean, it's a open weight class show, so I am not that, but I'll go and give it a shot, and I think will be a great thing to be a part of. Might be competing in June, Arizona. I don't remember the name of the show, but there's a Pro-Am in Arizona that I've got my sight set on, because they have Fingal Fingers, which I have never done before. And I have for years wanted to do a show with Fingal Fingers in it. And finally one popped up. So I think I'm going to go do that one. But like I said, the focus of this year is going to be on OSG. So most of my training is kind of focused on that. That's the big goal. So.
Sweet. Interesting. Fingal's Fingers is always cool. It depends on the flooring, though. They did it at America's Strongest Man last year, and the flooring wasn't great for it. So make sure they make the flooring to your satisfaction. And Rachael, what do you have coming up that's exciting on the horizon?
So I'm going to be doing the Rainier Classic. We this year, Ryan, for bigger and better, we have a pro middleweight class for the Rainier this year for both men and women. And so I'm going to be doing the middleweight class this year. I'm super stoked about that. Doing the open class last year was a little eye-opening. So everything was a strength cycle for me last year. And this year we're working on a little more endurance aspects because Saul, who came up with the events, decided that 90 seconds of continuous yoke and farmers was awesome. But I'm looking forward to it. Like Erin said, I'm also doing the Shaw Classic qualifier. Like she said, it's open class, so I'm not too terribly worried about how I'm going to place. I really just signed up for it for the Max Farmers. I'm really excited to test that. I've got some numbers in my brain of what I want to hit. And then I'm going to be doing the OSG qualifier that we're doing here in Tacoma in August. And I'm super stoked about that as well. And then seeing what happens in the fall, if I qualify for OSG, possibly doing America's Strongest Woman, depending on when and where it is. And then, like Ryan said, I'm a teacher, so this isn't my full-time job. So teaching is obviously going to be the thing that I do from September to June of next year, but trying to do as many pro shows as I can in the next year.
For not being a full-time job, you certainly have a lot of shows on your plate, or potentially on your plate.
Well, and with all the stuff that's been going on in the last couple of years, we had our one pro show last year and there weren't many opportunities, especially to fly somewhere. So the fact that Ryan was able to host and promote 2 pro shows in 1 year is phenomenal, and that just speaks to the promoter and businessman that he is. And so I really appreciate it on my end. I hate flying. I'm not great on planes. So being able to drive somewhere is super awesome. But we're going to see how it goes. Like I said, Shock Qualifier is not exactly going to be a huge thing for me. I really just want to max out my farmers. But we'll see what happens. And I'm looking forward to it being a really, really good year.
So it's what a farmer's hold for max time?
It's max farmers for 25 feet. So as heavy as you can possibly go. The most I've done currently is about 265 a hand. So we're going to see if we can beat that.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Like I said, for people who have never tried this before, get a set of farmers and try it, and then you'll know that number is huge. Because I have. And quick question for you, Rachel. Knurling or no knurling? Where do you fall?
It doesn't really matter to me. So again, growing up and starting the sport with a lot of equipment from Grant Higa, he had these two, we called them the cannons. They were literally two torpedo shells from warships that they'd put ends on. And that's what they made their farmer sandals on. And I think they were about that thick. And there was some knurling on it and some not knurling on it. And so that was the only thing I could train.
Yeah, they're in my garage. They've got knurling.
No. Oh, they do have knurling? Okay. Well, then I guess knurling. Because that was the only thing I could train with. And that, I think, being able to train with something just so outlandish as those really helped.
Yeah, I have the Titan Fitness ones, and they have knurling on them. JF Crone gives me a hard time. He's like, farmers should never have knurling. You either have grip or you don't. But yeah, like I was saying, people who have never tried farmers before, the highest I got was 182. I think I wanted to do my body weight. So 182, and I took like 2 steps forward. So 265 is like crazy. So for those of you who haven't tried this before, try it and get an appreciation for it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite event. It's one of those things that really truly tells me that I can bring in the groceries in one trip. It's one of those really good life lessons and carryovers for sure.
This is the problem. I usually get all the groceries, but the eggs are always left over. I got to go back for the eggs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Ryan, we heard a little bit of alluding to the events at Rainier. Are you allowed to give them away yet? Can you say what the events are?
Absolutely, I can do it.
All right.
So, oh boy, we're going to have Trump Circus Dumbbell. So it's a new event that we're in. If you know anything about our shows, you know that we get pretty creative, which some people like, some people don't. But you know what? Haters going to hate. Just come and do it. So you'll get to choose between 2 circus dumbbells at 2 different weights. If you do the heavier dumbbell, it trumps. Well, you know Trump events, but the heavier dumbbell, 1 rep beats out any reps of the lighter dumbbell. We're going to do head-to-head car deadlift. We're going to do as Rachel alluded to before, one thing that she's so excited about is so this year we went into the Rainier from a planning perspective, and last year was heavy. It was heavy. This year we wanted to keep, obviously it's heavy, but we wanted to see the athleticism of our athletes come out, and that's really where this event came from. The idea of doing yoke and farmers max reps in 90 seconds. Because for example, like you said before, watching Erin, watching Rob Kearney, for example, watching those guys on yoke, it's actually a lot of fun to watch them go back and forth, and a lot of folks want to see it more. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to do so it's a 2-day event. Next day we're going to do truck pull. We're going to do head-to-head, which going into the car movements, I really wanted to do more head-to-head because it's more fun to watch that. I mean, getting to see, and most shows, there's like a fire truck, or they're like Gabe Pena did his, where he had like the massive army trucks, which were heavy, by the way. Oh my gosh, those were heavy. But they were awesome. I was like, what if we could do multiple lanes of the same vehicle and just let people go against each other? Because that's what they used to do back in the old school strongman contests from the 80s and 90s. And I always thought that was awesome, when they had the big, moving bands and stuff like that. And so we're going to be bringing a little bit of that to the table. We're finishing up with Stone to Shoulder, Last Man Standing, which is a fun one. And then Rachel, help me out. What's the one I'm missing? I can't believe I can't think of it, but
dumbbell.
Sandbag.
The Sandbag medley.
Thank you. Erin,
So
Erin,
yeah.
Yep.
So that one is, we've seen a lot of Sandbag Toss in recent events, and it's usually just a series. And so one of the things that Saul came up with was you're going to toss a sandbag and then load a sandbag in the back of a truck, come back, toss a sandbag, and then load another sandbag. So it goes to that athleticism piece that Ryan was talking about. And I think those two medleys, the farmer yoke for 90 seconds, and it's not just down farmers down yoke, it's continual back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for 90 seconds. And you're getting scored based on the rounds that you complete. And the sandbag toss, sandbag carry, I think that speaks to the athleticism that Ryan was talking about. I'm looking forward to those events. Those sandbag toss and sandbag carry is not really my cup of tea. Erin is phenomenal at those things, but I'm looking forward to seeing how not only the athleticism plays in, but also the gameplay, especially for some of those athletes who may not need to go the full 90 seconds, but do they want to? And the athletes that need to go the full 90 seconds. And we have some amazing athletes with a ton of grit and a ton of perseverance. I'm going to shout out Alicia Oden. I know she's going to go the entire 90 seconds and it doesn't matter. So I think it's going to be really cool to watch those events, especially.
And hey, you're not going to hurt our feelings. So what do you think about those events? Do you think they're good, bad?
Good. I love that sandbag medley idea. I've never seen that before. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we so last year people absolutely loved and raved about our mystery event, which I'm being very sarcastic because I think a lot of the athletes, because the mystery event was sandbag toss for distance, right? So that's what we loved about it, because it got leaked out a little bit, like, oh, it's sandbag toss, and so that a lot of athletes kind of were getting ready to throw over a bar, and then like, nope, you got to throw it as far as you can. And getting to see, which once again, that's one of the reasons I love Strongman. Personally, this is a few years down the road, maybe sooner. I would love to do an all mystery event Strongman show. Seriously. Mm-hmm. And now it's almost impossible, because it's almost impossible for things to get leaked. You would have to promote it, and only one person would have to know the events and figure out how to coordinate it, because it's almost impossible to keep anything a secret anymore. But that's one of the most fun parts about Strongman, is like, who is really the strongest that shows up, right? Like, and it was interesting getting to see people like try to figure out techniques, because we gave them 3 different throws. And so, the sandbag load to toss was really, we're trying to find fun and unique ways to be able to show off these athletes, abilities. Not just the fact that they're statically strong or they're great athletes, but can they do them at the same time and do it well? Right.
I have to shout out Lucas Hatton and Gabby Dixon from last year. So both of them were collegiate throwers and used that to their advantage in the sandbag toss for distance. And Gabby put on a show. It was just phenomenal watching her using that technique she learned in throwing to do something that she knew about like the day before, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gabby's an incredible athlete. Gabby had, as I recall, fastest feet at OSG with that car walk. Unbelievable. Like, for people that didn't know what they were watching, you could think that they sped up the video.
Yeah, I mean that's a rugby player background, though, right? Like,
is that her background?
She's a tank, yeah. She's a former rugby player.
Oh, awesome. So, Erin, which event are you looking most forward to?
For the Rainier?
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch that sandbag one. I think there's a lot of strategy to that. It'll be interesting because, I mean, a sandbag toss is really hard to do tired. Like, there's so much explosive power needed from that like, as soon as you're fatigued, it's really hard to keep up with that. So I think the strategy and the people that are gonna like stay calm and not rush. Poor Scissorless. But no, that one I'm excited to watch, because I think that's going to be very strategic, and the people that stay calm and like don't rush and like don't try to just sprint the whole thing and like just do it smooth are going to do really well. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that just try to go fast and get it over with, and they're going to miss over and over and over again, because to me it's not really a speed event at all. It's like a composure event.
Interesting take. Really cool. All right. Well, Ryan, anything I missed on the agenda we wanted to cover today? If we haven't, then maybe we talk about if you have any sponsors or coaches you want to shout out, or anything else you want to disclose.
Yeah, no, I think we hit our agenda really well. And once again, thank you. I can tell you, our community, I meant what I said whenever I reached out to you originally. We're fans of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Because of what you're doing, and you're giving these shows, a lot of realism behind it by being analytical about like, hey, here are the stats. Here's how these athletes have done, how they compare against others. Well, I mean, what you're doing is really giving us validity and what we're trying to accomplish from a show and promotion standpoint. So thanks for what you're doing first and foremost. So I got to give a shout out to our mainline sponsor, Cerberus Strength, Ken Nowicki, who's the owner operator, Cerberus Strength USA. We use their sandbags and their accessory equipment that our lifters use at the gym are huge for the everyday grind. You can learn more about the Rainier Classic. We have our own event page at Rainier Classic. If you're looking to get more up-to-date info on the show, feel free to visit there. You can register for the Rainier Classic at DungeonStrength_RX on Instagram. We still, we're going to be putting a limit on roster this year just to make sure that we're staying efficient. And so, unfortunately, with that comes we have to put, limitations on signups. So there's still spots available in the show if you're wanting to come out. Registration fees, unfortunately, will go up on May 1st. Got to do it just because, there's a lot of last-minute prep that comes into the show. Anybody that's a pro, and honestly, I'm talking to a lot of the leaders in a lot of strongman federations right now to help promoters, reach out to pros to let them know they're invited to shows. Anybody that's a pro out there, we encourage you to come out. We'll take care of your hotel. We'll feed you while you're there. We'll show you a good time. The fans want to see you. They want to see you compete in person. So please reach out to me on our Instagram, and we'll try to get you involved in the show if you have time to come out and do it. And I think, all right, so let me explain where this more power thing's coming from, because it's now come up 3 times.
He put it a couple times in the chat, so I need to understand.
Yeah, so there is a cool channel out there, Donut Media. I'm going to try to get them to sponsor the show eventually, but if you've never seen them, they're a great channel that's focused all around cars. And I'm a big car guy. I have a muscle car myself, and I'm a huge fan of like antique, muscle cars, and their channels all around the history of vehicles, everything like that. Well, one of their guys that does, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's known for his catchphrase. It's not mine. I'm stealing it from him, but I love it. And whenever he's talking about horsepower in an engine, he'll go, "More power, baby. More power, baby." And so there's like this whole rendition. So anyways, when people are going for PRs in the gym and I'm trying to get them stoked, I'll just be like, "More power, baby. Come on." And then I do it in the gym. So now everybody, they kind of bring it up. And so Alec, the reason why he brought it up, because he caught me, there's Joel. Yeah, Dungeon. Yeah. So Alec caught me a picture of me at a party one time with this terrible face. I was like this. I was like, and he just captioned this meme. It's just "More power, baby." And it was like me just with this terrible face. And he's been on to me ever since. But that's where that comes from. But now you know the history, and now the real credit goes to them, because that guy's hilarious. And if you're a fan of cars, you should go check out Donut Media. But Rachel, did I miss anything for the Rainier? Let me talk a little bit. If I've missed anything, bring it up after this. But OSG regionals, so signups are live for the OSG regional in Houston with Derek Owens Battle Axe Barbell. Check out the show on Iron Podium. That's where the show is, where you can go and register. And Derek has been doing shows for a long time down in Texas. He's really good at what he does. And if you're down in that area, make sure you sign up. Registration for OSG Pacific Northwest is live. And the same way you can find out about the Rainier, the registration for OSG is there as well. So registration's up. We'll be taking registration all the way through up to showtime on August 20th is when the show is. And you can check us out on Instagram for the link to go check that out. And Rachel, what did I miss?
We have some really cool events for OSG, so I highly suggest you go check them out. I don't want to spoil anything, but they are posted. So I think we're gonna have some really fun athletes come out and try our show. So
I will highlight. I don't know if we have time, and thank you, Rachel. I don't know if we have too much time. I don't want to use up any more of your time that you don't think is necessary, but I will highlight one of the events that I'm really excited about at OSG. Yeah. We're going to be doing an NFL Combine inspired bench press event. So literally same rules as the NFL Combine. And I want to go out there and I want to be able to hashtag NFL on these athletes that are going to come and blow the records out of the water. Right now, the record holder is Stephen Pia, I believe, with 49 reps. So it's going to be the same weight across all the men's classes and all women's classes for the weight that's out there. Wow. So I'm kind of excited about that, because it once again takes a traditional, movement and what's considered a level of strength on one sport we're going to take it and we're going to bring it to the strongman scene. And that's going to be one of the events for the OSG qualifiers. So I'm really excited to see. Most people are really excited about it. I think a lot of folks are wondering how we're going to judge it, and there's a plan for everything, right? I promise we've got it figured out. But I'm really pumped for the show that we're going to do in August. It's going to be one to see.
That'll be, so for people that don't know, NFL Combine's 225.
225. Yep. So for the men, it's going to be 225. Same rules. No wraps, no wrist wraps, no elbow wraps. Rachel did ask about this the other day, and I'm going to confirm. Athletes are allowed to tape their wrists, so we will allow that, that's going to excite her. But no equipment. You're just going to come in there and you're going to rep until your chest explodes. I mean, that's really what it's going to be.
And for what it's worth, I've seen Erin do like 25 reps at 135. What's your record, Erin?
30.
30.
It's 30.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. So for the women across all weight classes, it's 135. So, yep.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to this now.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're working with Lynn we're actually going to have digital counters, hopefully, next to each bench. So from a stream perspective, it'll actually be more fun to like keep track of, because there's going to be benches across the arena, right? So you'll be able to see like what the rep count is clearly on camera. And we're going to make sure that it's going to be a great spectacle and not just, a bunch of people just, pushing reps up a ton and nobody knows where anybody's at, right? So we're definitely taking those into consideration when it comes to production.
Yeah, I wonder what the roster is going to be like. Like if someone, for example, like last year, there were 3 that qualified to go to Giants Live, like would they come back and do OSG again? Like be cool to see Pavlo Cordiaca do this event, for example.
I'll let Erin speak to that. What do you think, Erin?
Yeah, cool. Because anyone that podiums, I think is actually a top 10 get automatic invite. So, I mean, without much incentive, I can't really see any of the podium finishers coming and doing the qualifiers unless there was some sort of like prize money that made it worth it or some sort of incentive that made it worth it because everyone already has an automatic invite that did well last year. I don't know if this is a plan, but I would love to see in the future the regional show is offering those kind of incentives so that it does become more of a spectacle that people want to come and compete at those and win money. But I think just until there's more incentive for the winners to do it, if they already have the invite, I don't know if we'll see many of those top people come into the qualifiers yet.
Interesting. Well, I had a great time talking to all of you this evening, learned a bunch about the Rainier Classic. And Ryan, what's that date on the Rainier Classic again?
Rainier Classic is June 4th and 5th.
Thank you, sir. And we talked a lot about the evolution of OSG, kind of all your journeys in Strongman, and I've just learned quite a ton and had a real ball this evening. Hopefully you did as well. And anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks again. It was our pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. And, of course, until next time, as always, ciao, homie.